All right, YouTube, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel for another video. Today, we are looking at some more Pokemon investments, and these are 10 illustration rares that have absolutely popped off lately. I wanted to make this video off the back of the Drowsy illustration rare going absolutely crazy, up 1000% in like the last week. This card has just gone beyond anyone's expectation as to what it could be. So I figured we would take a look at 10 more illustration rares that are on the rise, because in the last 3 months, these have seen over 400% gains on a lot of these, some of them seeing 200%, but there are some with some really high percentage gains as well. So with that said, we're going to jump into the cards. Be sure to subscribe if you are brand new, because once we hit 3,000 subscribers, we are doing another giveaway on the channel. All you have to do to enter is be subscribed, comment on any of the videos between now and 3,000 subscribers, and your name will be in the draw to win. Now, jumping into the cards, let's have a look at the Starly illustration rare from Scarlet and Violet base. This card is one that I actually pulled recently, which is really, really cool. Unfortunately, I traded it away for something else that I wanted in my collection. So when I traded it, it was still at about a $10 value, but it is even more than that now, sitting at $12.39. So it has seen a little bit of increase since I traded mine away. But if you look at this card a few months ago, it was like a $2 to $3 card for the longest time. So this has seen a 333% increase, which is absolutely massive. And it's not to say that it can't go even further than it is. We're seeing all of the illustration rares having a big run right now. I don't know if that's whether that a ton are selling, because, you know, this Starly has sold 23 items when most recent sales have been under that. There was one with 12, 22. So there is fairly consistent sales here. But then in the last sort of week or so, there had been 92 sold, which caused kind of this extra spike here to take it up to $12. So back down to 23 items sold in the last couple of days, but I still think this card is going to continue to rise. So if you have this in your collection, then that's good for you. If you don't, and you can still find it for that $2 to $3 mark, then great. You might get an absolute steal. Because one thing that I find is that things like local card shops don't always update their prices, and people on Facebook Marketplace might put a listing up and it might sit there for a month or two and they don't realize that the prices on these cards have gone up. So that's one way to look for steals when you're checking out illustration rares. Moving away from Starly, we're going to look at the Klawf from Scarlet Violet base as well. And you'll notice that it is these early illustration rares a lot of the time that do spike in price. There's a couple other ones that aren't from the early sets on this list, but the early illustration rares from Scarlet Violet base and Paldea Evolved are the ones that tend to jump in price when you grade them as well, because they're extremely hard to grade due to the bad print quality, the bad centering, all those kind of things that can affect grading on a card. And the population of how many PSA 10s that are actually out there is very, very small. So the Klawf, looking at this, up 430% in the last 3 months. A big chunk of increase came in like the last sort of week or so. Again, a ton of copies being sold around here compared to what would normally sell. So 93 sold between Feb 12th and Feb 14th, 49 after that, 20 after that, 29. But that big rise was when we saw like 93 of them sold in a 2 to 3 day period. So this jumped from what was a $2 card up to now just under $10 as well. So you're seeing a pattern here with these cards being bought out, and that's what's causing them to jump. I don't know if eBay is quite on par with the price spikes as quickly as TCG Player is, because, you know, these cards being bought up on TCG Player is directly correlating to where these prices are going. So Klawf at $10. This one's a really interesting one, and you're going to see the percentage gain and wonder if that's real, but yes, it absolutely is. The Houndour illustration rare, one of my favorite cards, and I really like Obsidian Flames as a set. It's actually one of the very few booster boxes that I've been able to keep sealed in my collection, because I really do believe that Obsidian Flames is a great set, even though people don't really appreciate it, I feel like, as much as they have. It's got this cute as Houndour illustration rare. It's got the Ninetales illustration rare. It's got the Scissor illustration rare, and then all of the Charizards on top of that as well. There's just a bunch of cards in that set that I really believe will grow, and this Houndour might just be the start of that. So the Ninetales is already a $40 card, $50 card, something like that. The Scissor is on the rise. The Houndour is going up. I think boxes of Obsidian Flames are going to start going up as well. So again, I'm doing everything in my power to keep that Obsidian Flames booster box sealed. But again, my self-control I just have zero. So the fact that that's still sealed and I bought it about a month ago for me is very impressive. So Houndour, super cute, up 881%, which is bonkers. About a month ago, it was a $6.92 card. $6.92, and it is now at $32 or $33.87 market price. There was 144 of them sold in between February 20th and February 22nd. So a 3-day period, they sold 144. The couple of days before that, it was 101, 146, down to 63, 41, 90, 40, 40. So it's still a fairly good card in terms of like sell through. It did have like weeks where there was like only 15 to 30 sort of items sold, but the last couple of weeks it's been selling like crazy. And yeah, the price is now reflecting that. One of these I wish I had picked up a little bit earlier. Obviously there might be one sitting in that box, but I'm not going to tempt myself. But I don't actually have one of these right now, and I kind of wish that I did. So I may have to bite the bullet and pay a little bit higher price, or just sit on it, wait, and hope that it comes down, even though I don't believe that it will. Or not by too much anyway. Next one is the Metagross from Temporal Forces. This one is up 213%. It is now a $38.91 card, so just under $40 for this. A couple of months ago, it was in the $14, $15 range, and even as low as $12.28 at one point. But this has had a huge spike lately and is still going up from there. So we're having a look at this. This is one of probably the best winter themed artworks, and I really like this, the way that the Metagross are helping move all the snow in this town. Just a cool overall vibe to this card. I think it's a $40 card. Like some people might look at it and go, oh, why is that $40? But I think there are much less styled cards, like less nice cards that are more expensive than this, which is crazy. But other than that, I think this is a cool card, and I think it's worth the $40 price tag. All right, next on the list, Enamorus from Twilight Masquerade. Now this one, it's not a huge hitter. It's not a $40 card like the ones we've seen prior to this on the list, but it is up 329% on its previous price. So $7.03 is the market price right now. This one was $1.69 like a couple of months ago, 3 months ago. This was $1.69. So now it's $7.04. This one, again, I've talked about those cutesy cards, the pink cards, the cards that, you know, people that might not be super into Pokemon would be interested in buying because they look cool and they look nice in a binder with the rest of their cutesy cards. This is one of those. And again, this one has seen, you know, a big spike just here where it had 112 items sold. And that 112 kind of spiked it up to the price where it is now. Because most of the other days were 40-ish sales, down to 30 sales if they were going back as far as December. But yeah, the last couple of weeks, it has sold a huge amount. And off the back of that 112 items in a couple of days, that's probably what spiked this. Next up is the Phione from Twilight Masquerade. I don't know if it's Phione, Phione. I didn't watch the series when this was in it, so I have no idea how to actually pronounce this. But up 264%. It was a couple of months ago a $3 card, now $9.65. Again, illustration rares, just doing illustration rare things. This is a cool card in terms of the color palette that it runs with. I really like that you can see the sun shining through the water. Just a really cute card as well. Phione or Phione, however you say it, is a cute Pokemon too. So it kind of fits a few different criteria for why it's going up. But again, we look for how many items were actually sold. This one kind of just had a steady increase. This doesn't look like it was super manipulated anywhere. It looks like it just steadily had more and more items sold over the last sort of 2 months. And it's just steadily increased by that 264%, which shows that no one really bought it out to cause it to rise, which is probably a good thing. Next up, the Hisuian Growlithe. This one is up 183%. It is now a $22 card, when a few months ago it was $8.56. Reason being, again, right here, you can see there was 101 items sold between January 31st and February 2nd. And outside of that, all of the, you know, sort of numbers are between 20 and 40. There was a few before that were a bit higher. But again, this card is really cool in the sense that it is a artwork pairing with the Perrin special illustration rare from Twilight Masquerade as well. Perrin in the artwork there, she's looking down, taking the photo. And as you can see, the photo that she is taking is of her own feet and the Hisuian Growlithe that is up on her legs as well, which is really, really cute. I think it's a cool pairing. And anytime there's an artwork pairing like this, I just believe that it has potential to go up in value. The Parent Special Illustration Rare is quite expensive as well. So when you pair this with that, I can see this continuing to grow in the future. Next one is a crazy one. The Slowpoke Illustration Rare. Again, this is doing some weird things and we're kind of at the start of it. It hasn't really gotten to its full growth yet. So I'm actually reporting on this, I feel, pretty early. The last couple of days, this has sold a ton of copies. So I think this is going to spike similar to how the Drowsy has spiked. It's $35 right now, which is up 225% in the last 3 months. But if you look at the last 1 month, if the chart actually works for me, we can see a big spike here from $24 up to the $35 mark. So again, correlation to how many were being sold in recent times, but this can definitely be one of those things where it's also a card that's hard to grade. It's also got bad print quality. The PSA 10 prices are huge for this as well. So I just think this is going to do similar things to what the Drowsy did. I'm just going to call it now. Again, Gen 1 Pokemon, cool artwork, hard to grade. It ticks all the boxes. Next up is the Armarouge Illustration Rare. This one is only up 98%, but I feel like this one has potential to do a lot more. I think it's one of those ones that we're actually catching it pretty early, even though you can see a 98% increase in the last month or two. I think this is one of those illustration rares that's just a really, really nice design. The cityscape that it is sort of presenting itself in is really cool as well. And I just think overall it's a nice looking card. So I think this one will continue to rise as well, even though, yeah, right now it's sitting at about $19. I think it could go to 25, potentially even 30 in the future. And last on the list, again, another bonkers one. And I don't know if this is because it has the same artist as the Drowsy artwork that's been popping off, but the Brute Bonnet from Paradox Rift has also had an extreme spike over the last sort of 2 days. Went from being $13 on the 20th of February, so 3 days ago, to now being a $35 card, which is 422% increase. It's just absolutely exploded, and it wasn't doing anything from 3 months ago when it was $5 all the way up until like 2 days ago, which is kind of the same time that the Drowsy went bonkers. And yes, they have the same artist. It is the same art style. There is potential for this card because of the Drowsy for this to do well. And we're seeing the beginning of it now. So $35 for this card. Will it go up like the Drowsy? Well, I don't really know. I don't think the Brute Bonnet is a Pokemon as liked. I mean, not that Drowsy is hugely popular either, but it is a Gen 1 Pokemon. I don't even know what Brute Bonnet is. That's how like old school I am. Like anything past Gen 3 starts to get a little bit fuzzy on the Pokemon for me because I don't know them all. But again, you know, this card, the artwork, it's got the potential there. I'm sure it's probably a little bit easier to grade than the Drowsy. Being in Paradox Rift, they had a little bit better quality control in that time. But again, we just never really know until we see purchases. So this one is pretty much like up, I don't know, 109 items sold was kind of the spike here that sent everything. Everything else was like 15 to 30 items sold. And then there's one patch here where in a 3-day period, it sold 109. So again, that was the huge spike for that one. But that is the 10 illustration rares this week that are climbing in price. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will do another video with special illustration rares later in the week. So I hope you guys stay tuned for that one. Make sure you have the notifications turned on so you stay up to date with every upload. And I appreciate all of you guys watching. Thank you again, and I will see you in the next one.